It is astonishing to me that here we are on Holocaust Memorial Day, and this orange pig has decided what to do with the people of Gaza. His quote, "Clean out that whole thing," end quote. As was said by Hitler about the Jews in the ghettos of Poland, the ghettos of Hungary, the ghettos of Czechoslovakia, the ghettos of every European state. Clean them out. The orange bastard says he's asking Jordan and Egypt to take as many as a million and a half Gazans in what would be an historic act of the crime of ethnic cleansing. Now, I want to share with you something here from Consortium News, but before I do that, I would call attention to Muslim Americans, if you don't mind using that term, Muslim Americans, especially people who live near my old neighborhood. I'm from Toledo. Detroit was 40 miles up the road. To all of the Muslims in Detroit who lost your goddamn minds about what the Biden administration had been doing in Gaza in supporting the Nazi fucker Netanyahu. And the Muslim Americans decided almost as a group they were not going to vote for Biden as a show of their absolute contempt for what Biden had done. And I remember talking about this and trying to say in this little old podcast, which I don't know how many Muslim Americans listen, or I really don't, but that Biden was acting out of treaties and agreements that had been arranged with the United States and Israel long before Biden had any position of power. Did I say I agreed with Biden? No, of course not. I found it an outrage. But to the Muslim Americans who use that as the fulcrum on which was supposed to be balanced their own self-interest and in this country and what was happening in Gaza, the Muslim Americans put a fucking noose around their own necks. Do you folks understand, if you are listening at all, what Trump has just said about the people of Gaza? He wants them eliminated. Removed. This is the man that you refuse to try to stop from gaining the presidency. You decided, no, fuck it. You were going to take that one issue, and it was a decent issue. But do you think Trump is going to do anything to address the issues that you had with Biden? Take a look. For fuck's sake, take a look at what he ordered today. Trump told King Abdullah of Jordan in a phone call, it's according to Consortium News, quote, "You're talking about 1.5 million people, and we just clean out that whole thing. Over the centuries, it's had many, many conflicts, and I don't know, something has to be done," end quote. And then this orange piece of fucking filth said he would speak with Egyptian President General El-Sisi about the same thing. Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One on Saturday, quote, "I said to Abdullah, I'd love you to take on more because I'm looking at the whole Gaza Strip right now, and it's a mess. It's a real mess. I'd like Egypt to take people, and I'd like Jordan to take people." End quote. Egypt has repeatedly told Israel that since Israel has been committing genocide, that Egypt would not take Palestinians from Gaza. I don't understand the reasoning behind that, but okay, Egypt is saying, let the Palestinians stay where they are and be slaughtered. Let the Jews be rounded up and sent to Auschwitz. Egypt has repeatedly told Israel that it would not take Palestinians from Gaza, which, of course, there is a treaty between Egypt and Israel. So I would imagine that gave Netanyahu tacit permission to continue his ethnic cleansing, his slaughter. I don't like the term ethnic cleansing. That sounds so sterile. His fucking mass killing, the murder of 40, 50, 60, 70, who knows, 1,000 Palestinians blown to pieces, children, women, men, old people, people in hospitals, sick people, blown to pieces. And a majority of Jordan's population is already descendants of Palestinians displaced by Israel since 1948. And Jordan's foreign minister said Jordan's opposition to what this orange, filthy piece of shit in this country is saying, Jordan's opposition was, quote, firm and unwavering, end quote. Well, Article 49 of the Fourth Geneva Convention, which is all about war and mass killing and destruction and death. Article 49, quote, prohibits the forced transfer of protected people out of or into occupied territory, end quote. And typical international law considers what Trump is suggesting to be illegal. This is what Trump said of Gaza. Quote, it's literally a demolition site. Almost everything was demolished. People are dying there. So I'd rather get involved with some of the Arab nations and build housing at a different location where they can maybe live in peace for a change. End quote. A different location, you know what that means? That means the Palestinian people are never to return to Palestine. And today, this orange piece of shit was speaking like a New York real estate bum that he is. And he referred to Gaza as, quote, it's a phenomenal location. That place has to be rebuilt in a different way. You know, Gaza is interesting. It's a phenomenal location on the sea. Best weather, you know, everything is good. It's like some beautiful things could be done, but it's very interesting, end quote. On Holocaust Remembrance Day, let's take another population and destroy them. And the comments out of this orange bastard's mouth are identical almost with the extreme sentiment of the Israeli ultra-Orthodox leaders, including this Nazi fucker Netanyahu. They want Gaza cleansed of Arabs and repopulated with Israelis. Sieg Heil. A New York University historian, you've seen her on television, Ruth Ben-Chat, said on X, quote, autocrats do not care about human life. They think in the aggregate and see people as assets to exploit. A clean out, in autocratic terms, means mass death and deportation, end quote. But Bezalel Smotrich, who is Israel's finance minister and one of the ultra-Orthodox Jewish Nazis who is governing that country, Smotrich called Trump's plan, quote, a wonderful idea. Only outside the box thinking like this over new solutions will bring peace and security, end quote. That's according to the Financial Times. Only outside the box. You son of a bitch, Smotrich. How many people may have said that about the cleansing of Jews out of Europe 80 years ago? Huh? Out-of-the-box thinking over new solutions. Final solution, you might say, for the people of Palestine, right? A final solution, Smotrich. Sound familiar? Final solution. Has sort of a raw, gruesome ring to it, doesn't it, Smotrich? In response to that, Francesca Albanese, the UN Special Rapporteur for the occupied territories, that would be in Israel, said, quote, ethnic cleansing is anything but an out-of-the-box thinking. No matter how one packages it, it is illegal, immoral, and irresponsible, end quote. It's also deadly. 6 million Jews, Smotrich, like you, were ethnically cleansed from Europe. Out-of-the-box thinking, Smotrich, right? You fucking Nazi, you. Out-of-the-box thinking. How could you say that, Smotrich, on Holocaust Remembrance Day? So, the orange Nazi in this country said he wants to clean out Gaza. Trump also said to reporters on his flight back to the United States, quote, you're talking about probably 1.5 million people. We just clean out that whole mess, end quote. That whole mess. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.